And when you think about the UK and broadly the Western world today, what is your assessment of where we're at as a country and what's concerning you? Because Gary expressed quite articulately that his big concern is that because of wealth inequality, we're going to end up in a similar position to the
Yeah.
likes of India. What are you concerned about?
I agree that it wasn't that long ago that we had real serious wealth inequality in this country. There are amazing photos from like 100 years ago of kids working in mines and kids doing oyster shucking and all this horrible work. And there's a book Charles Dickens wrote called The Tale of Two Cities, and the opening line of the book is, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." And I think we've actually gotten to that point here where some people in the UK, it's the best of times. If you like in your situation, you're booming. You're a globally successful business. I've got a globally successful business, and then there are a lot of people who completely cannot relate to this. Energy prices are now the most expensive in the Western world. House prices are completely unaffordable. It used to take 3 years to save for a deposit. It's now 20 years if theoretically 20 years if you can save for a deposit. Food prices are through the roof. So we're in a really difficult, like for anyone who is not tapped into digital economy, fast growth, and all of that sort of stuff, life is getting harder and worse, and things are collapsing. If you would go with that, there is a predictable path countries go on, and there's this thing called the Economic Freedom Index. And the Economic Freedom Index basically says how economically free are you? How much access do you have to free markets? Can you start a business? Can you scale a business? Does anything inhibit your ability to run your own life? Countries that have high degrees of economic freedom have very low poverty, they have widespread affluence, and countries that have low economic freedoms have high poverty. And it can be the difference between less than 10% right up to 70% poverty rates. And when countries go on a path towards economic freedom, poverty just drops. So, India, for example, has been on that path, and they announced today that they've almost eradicated abject poverty or extreme poverty. The UK went on that path of low economic freedom to high economic freedom, and we saw poverty rates come right down. But in 2008, when the global financial crisis happened, one of the things that happened is the government said, we need to step in and we need to take charge. And everyone said, please do. So they came in and they said, all right, we're going to ramp up debt, ramp up taxes to pay for the debt, and we're also going to put all regulations in. And unfortunately, that starts to reduce economic freedom. Then the pandemic happens and they say, oh, we're going to spend more money again through debt. We're going to have more taxes, more regulations, less economic freedom. So the UK, we went from an 82, when I arrived in 2006, we went from 82 out of 100 down to 68 out of 100. So